10,000-year terms. You in America think in 30-minute terms. That's how long a TV show goes from beginning crisis to the crescendo to the outcome. And he said, and then you have to realize that you've got this amount of advertising in there, so I guess you're really thinking in 22-minute terms. He said, we have the Bhagavad Gita and Lord Krishna, you have Mickey Mouse. So what has happened is that we have exported this sensation of instant gratification. Like you're going to suddenly be enlightened. And what can I do to suddenly be enlightened? Well, you can just suddenly be enlightened. And resist all temptation to not be. But that's pretty impossible. So you must ply. You know what the word means? Ply. You must ply your way. It's an arduous task, yes? A little bit every single day. So small is the advancement every single day that you have no idea you're advancing. That's how small it has to be. Because the moment you begin to believe that you're advancing, it's going to pull you back in. Because you're heading out of the collective into that never, never land of awareness. You don't want to do that. You have nobody around you that can relate to you. Huh. And everybody that can't relate to you thinks you're just weird. And that's very itchy. You know, there's nothing worse than itchy. I mean, pain is better than itchy. Pain, you can deal with it. I'm in pain. You can't go around going, I am itchy. Nobody wants to hear about your itch. And let's face it, you ask somebody to scratch the itch, isn't it true they never get the itch? No, a little bit left, no, a little bit left, no, a little bit up, a little bit up, no, a little bit. And then you're going to direct them for now until forever, they never get the itch. They could take a damn thing and scrape your entire back, and the itch is still there going, itchy. Very challenging. But also very stimulating. Because it's that itch that makes us grow. It's the only way to get that itch is to stretch it. Because an itch is just a condensation of sensation. So we act as if tomorrow is waiting. And suddenly it is. Right? As if something moved, but nothing did. I mean, space moves, time doesn't. So how are you going to move from who you are? How are you going to move from where you are to who you are? First of all, you have to agree that where you are is not only who you are, but it's not who you are. That you do actually have a desire. You have to be good with your condition, which is where you are, your desire, which is your stimulation, and the image of who you are. And the image of who you are has to be highly inflated to the point where you're not willing to actually admit it to anyone. And then you have to start admitting it to yourself. And do you know what we use to stay away from that process? Every single issue, whether it's a physical issue, an emotional issue, a mental issue, or an existential issue, all of our issues are used to keep us from engaging what we've just been discussing. You're saying we haven't been discussing it. You're saying you've been lecturing. We've been discussing because you've been listening to your voice in your head telling you what I'm saying. You haven't been listening to what I'm saying. You've been listening to your voice in your head telling you, oh, he means this. Well, that reminds me of that. Oh, of course. And then there'll be a while that you'll go, oh my God, I haven't even heard what he's been saying. That's been the nature of the human brain that has begun 130,000 years ago. The human brain has gone from now until time. And it's taken us 130,000 years to get this far off course. So far off course that we have God knows how many 24-hour news stations that are all talking about the insanity of fear. And people wake up in the morning and they turn it on. As a matter of fact, they wake up to it. They put it on a clock radio. I don't know, maybe they've got clock TVs too. Like it just comes on in your room like, it's worse than you thought when you went to bed. And they wake up, oh, thank goodness. Oh, at least I know it's worse as soon as I wake up. What's worse? The illusion. We have traveled so far outside of now that we're in the garbage. Come here. Come here. Now. How can you tell how far from now you are? By the amount of pain you experience, whether it's physical, emotional, mental, or existential. And when you begin to feel existential pain, which is like the most horrendous, you'll create mental pain because it's slightly less horrendous. And when you can't tolerate the mental pain, you'll experience the emotional pain because it's slightly less horrendous. And when you can't tolerate the emotional pain, you'll create a physical pain because it's more identifiable. You can say, that's what it is. And just like Dr. Carl Jung said, every insane knows it. In other words, there's a center point in every brain. Are you willing to dwell in it when hardly no one is? When I say hardly no one is, I mean no one is. Hardly. But no one is. Hardly. But no one is. Are you willing to be there by yourself? And reduce the speculation of your brain that, oh my God, I must be doing something wrong. That's why they call it courage. Who's French in the room? What does it mean? Cour. Heart. What does age mean? Huh? Time. Courage. The time of the heart. In other words, it takes the heart brain to equalize the head brain in order for you to have any capacity to stand in your aloneness, which is what? All oneness. Because you're standing in the oneness and the entire mirror is refusing to believe you. So you have to move from your thinking to your knowing. Because your thinking will speculate, I got to be doing something wrong. Your knowing knows that you know. But there's no reason to know because there's nothing reasonable in this moment. You're feeling like, whoa. How many of you started into the path? You start to feel like you're going nuts. Raise your hand. Ah, they sent me to the right room. Well, I'm just here to tell you, you're not. You're going home. But the pathway there is like landing in Albuquerque. Right? That's a rough land. First of all, you're at 5,000 feet. So you never have enough runway. So the moment you touch down, it's like the guy's got brakes. And you're going, Jesus, and you think you're going to fly to the front of the plane. But to get to the runway is the worst thing. You know, it's like, because the thermals there are just notorious. They're so notorious, it's the balloon capital of the world. They have this balloon fest there every year because the thermals are just perfect for balloons, but they're hell on airplanes. So tomorrow's not waiting for today to get over. Tomorrow exists. And yesterday isn't gone. It still exists. You just moved from the classroom to the lobby. But the lobby, and your car exists. Does your car exist right now? Are you in your car? No. But are you in your car? Yeah. It appears that your molecular center isn't, but hey, what's that have to do with anything? Read the book of my first teacher, Paramahansa Yogananda, and his teacher, Sri Yukteswar. Who would be in two locations at once? Golly. How do you explain that? By saying it's impossible. That's how you explain it to your three-dimensional brain. How many leaves is the tree in? How many leaves is the tree in? All of them. Well, how can that be? Says the leaf. That's impossible, says the leaf. Because the leaf thinks of itself as a leaf. I call it a bee-leaf system. The leaf sits there thinking of itself as a leaf. You are sitting here thinking of yourself as this body. You're not. But it takes a tremendous amount of energy for you to realize that you're me. For you to realize that you're the stranger sitting next to you. Because you're not the individuated realization of just sitting in your body. You are life itself. And the moment you begin to get to being life itself, you're arriving at now. And then you realize that everything that goes on to every other leaf on the tree goes on to you. Well, then the dilemma begins again. How do I help all the leaves? You don't. You help all the leads by